Hey guys, my name's Andrew, welcome to Duncan Sleep Gaming, and welcome to the Sealed Through Time series, where me and my friend Brandon travel through over 20 years of Magic the Gathering's history to collect and build decks from Magic's oldest sets all the way up to the current sets that are being released. In this video, we want to introduce you to the format and the rules for the series to kind of give you an idea of how the series is going to go. If you've ever watched Simo's channel, I'm sure you guys have. It's very similar to that. We're going to be constantly opening sets one episode at a time, constantly rebuilding our decks and progressively making it better and better. Hence the progression series. We are calling it Sealed Through Time because it's basically the Magic the Gathering's version of Sealed, but we're progressively building it up as we go along in each set. If you haven't checked out Simo's channel, I really recommend it. He's basically the inspiration, not just for the for the video, but the whole series itself. And honestly, I can't thank him enough. He actually helped me a lot through the little bit that we talked online. And yeah, I mean, I will leave a link down in the description if you want to check that out. I wanted to give you guys an idea of what I'm going to be doing in this series that's going to be a little different from his. And that's mainly because, you see, in Magic, it's kind of hard to include all of the cards that I wanted to, especially the older ones that aren't always, readily available, unfortunately, especially the really old cards. So what I'm going to do is kind of break down what's going to be different, and more importantly for those who aren't familiar with the progression series, the progression format, give you an idea of what to expect. Now, the visual aids I'm going to be using for this video are unfortunately what were supposed to be the first episode of the series, which I'm going to be calling episode 0, I guess. It was basically a video that was going to make, which was 8th edition. We opened 8th edition first. And it was supposed to be kind of like the beginning of the series, episode 1. But unfortunately, the audio messed up. So I couldn't really, put it out there and say, hey, this is my work, this is as good as it's gonna get. I'd rather say that everybody the time and just kind of use it as a way of kind of showing you visually how the series goes, to give you a very good idea of why we're doing things the way we are, and maybe try and get on your own. I really loved for more people to try this style of Magic, because honestly, this is the most fun I've ever had playing Magic. This format is just absolutely incredible. It's so fun, it's so interesting, and it creates your own internal meta, and you're able to play cards that you normally would never play. So it's honestly really fun. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into the video. So as I said before, in this series, me and Brandon are going to be opening 36 packs, or one booster box, of every set, starting with 8th edition. Now, the reason we started with 8th edition is for a variety of reasons, but the biggest one is because not every card is available on Magic Online, unfortunately. There are just some cards that were printed in paper that aren't available on Magic Online before 8th edition, and also there are some cards that we might open that technically were printed in Magic that just don't work in Magic. The mechanics have been removed, or the way that they're worded and worked, how they normally work, just don't exactly translate. So what I wanted to do real quick is to kind of go over that and give you a brief idea of why we have certain things the way they are. So the first thing I wanted to do is talk about why we're starting with 8th edition. So in Alpha, up to 8th edition, there are a bunch of cards that just don't work. And that first set of cards that don't work is the anti-cards. For those who aren't familiar, the anti-cards are basically cards that in the beginning of Magic's history allowed players to basically gamble for other cards that the opponent physically owns. And it's basically gambling, so we can't exactly have that in the series because it won't work on Magic Online. So all of those cards that have to do with the anti-zone aren't in the game. The second group is going to be the conspiracy, kind of like unglued, unhinged series, which are cards that have mechanics that, again, don't really work with Magic Online or Magic in general. And, of course, these are cards that are banned in Vintage as well, so they have a good reason. And the third kind of group of cards that are banned altogether and we're not using is going to be cards that for sensitivity and I don't want to really get into it, but racist and prejudice reasons have been removed from Magic Online. So I don't want to really get into specific cards and which ones I'm talking about specifically. You can Google it. There are plenty of articles talking about it, including Wizards. So if you want to look into that, we're not opening any of those cards. We're not using any of those cards, and most of them are before 8th edition. So most of them we can kind of avoid and not have to run across. So every other card is kind of upholden to the vintage ban list. So if it's something that's limited in vintage, it's limited here. There are no cards for mechanical reasons that we have banned, except I think Loris. I think Loris might be the only one, and that's because we're going to end up using as companion. It's already banned in vintage because we're going to have Black Lotuses and other stuff available, and it's going to end up getting banned eventually, and we just don't want the headache. So Loris definitely is out. When I say restricted, that includes the best cards in Magic. So it's just going to be a weird kind of very, very interesting meta. We're going to have some Power 9 cards that are going to be available to us, and I kind of want to get into how we're going to be able to include those older sets. Now, as I said, we are starting with 8th edition, and we're only going to the future from here on out. But the way I thought is the best way to include those older sets is by making them an incentive for winning. You see, at the end of every episode, we're going to be spinning a wheel, and that wheel is going to have either the current set, the previous set, or all the sets that came before 8th edition. It's much more likely, because I think I made it 60% likely that we do the current or previous sets that we've done so far as being a pool of cards to pick from as far as your winning card. And then the rest are kind of divided up one at a time between the other sets, including a jackpot, which you can pick whatever card you want from any set. So, for example, let's say you land on Alpha. You can pick one card of any card in Alpha and add it to your collection. And I think it's a really fun way of introducing these cards without without having to physically open them and then take a lot of the cards out and then re-put them back in and then try to push away all the cards that are banned for as I said before. Instead, we can still talk about the cards that we're really interested in, and I think it's kind of fun, spinning the wheel and hitting an older set that has some really powerful cards, and then having the option of which one do you want to pick, which one might be really good in your deck, what may be really powerful in Modern or Legacy, but maybe not so good in our format. It's really, really interesting, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So basically, that's how each of the episodes are going to go. So we're going to start off with whoever won the previous week. So since I won the first week, I get to pick whatever, spin the wheel and choose whatever card I want to. And as you can see, I picked Royal Assassins because I got the set that we just did, which was 8th edition, and Royal Assassins was legal in 8th edition. Secondly, we go over the card that was banned, and the card that was banned, or in this case restricted because it wasn't already at 1, is going to be Dehydrate. Normally, you could play 4 of these, but now I can only play 1. Now, if it was restricted, we would go from 1 to 0, and we would be completely banned. But since, of course, it was at 4, now it's only to 1. I can only have 1 Dehydrate. That's what we're going to do after we spin the wheel. And then we go to the pack openings, where we kind of talk about a little bit about what we're kind of looking for, and then we open the entire set, 36 packs, and then we look to see what we get. Maybe we might be a little surprised to see what we get. Maybe we're kind of bummed out. Maybe we didn't get what we wanted, but we take those pools of cards and we make something out of it. And then we show what we got and see who wins. The winner gets to spin the wheel, and the loser gets to pick the card that goes on the banned and restricted list for our series. And then, yeah, that's basically the entire series. It's a lot simpler than it definitely sounds. But since this is one of the first, if not the first, series on YouTube where we're going to be doing it ourselves, this kind of series, I wanted to give you an idea of why we did the things that we did, so that if you wanted to do it yourself, you can definitely do so. So yeah, that's basically it. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate all the support that you can give. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.